G'day fellas, how you going? So in today's video, what I want to do was do a complete costume breakdown of my most recently completed Naofumi cosplay from Rising of the Shield Hero. I've got a few questions from people after I finished this outfit, just asking how I made different pieces of the costume. So what I thought I'd do is just explain the outfit from top to bottom, just going through how I made each part, my thoughts behind it, and hopefully it might help you out a little bit if you're trying to make a Shield Hero costume yourself. So hopefully this video will help you. Let's go. Now the part of the costume I'm going to start off with is Naofumi's undershirts. Now this is a piece that is mostly covered up for most of the series, but fortunately enough I was able to find reference pictures of him not wearing any armor, so this is the result. Now with me and my sewing, I don't usually follow any formal patterns. I just got an old t-shirt, an old long sleeve shirt actually, lay it down and just use that as the base and just cut out pieces of material just based on a long sleeve shirt that fit me. Now this material I chose, it's a kind of suiting. It doesn't crease very easily, which is kind of why I chose it, because I don't usually like ironing costumes. It's time consuming, I don't like doing it, so I picked something that didn't really crease very easily. So I fold it, I can crush it, it doesn't leave too many creases behind, which is good. Now the only thing to really keep in mind for this basic shirt is this nice gold trim that I found. It just looks really nice on it, and just to kind of make it sit a little bit nicer on me, I added a little push stud in here, so that kind of clips together, and it kind of clips together really nicely, so it can be seen from the top. A little bit of interfacing at the collar to keep it nice and stiff, but yeah, apart from that, that's pretty much it. Just a basic long sleeve black shirt which is able to slip over my head. Alright, next up we have a set of pants. It's basically a basic set of pants which I made the pattern from an old set of jeans which fit me, and the material I chose again was actually a type of quilting, which again it doesn't really crease very easily. I don't have to iron it very much, which is good. Once again, the basic gold trim which I used on top for the details. In the reference images it is a little bit different, but I didn't again use a normal pattern for making my pants, so I just used whatever looked good, and I think it turned out pretty okay. Added the little belt buckles, it's got a zip in here, it's got a little button to keep it up, and that's pretty much it. It's just a basic set of pants. The material is made out of non-crease quilting material, so that's pretty much it for the pants. And now we have the boots. Now I actually made a completely separate video for how the boot covers are made in general in another video, so I'll leave a link to that video in the description below, but check that out if you do want to find out how to make boot covers from scratch. But a very basic rundown of these boots. These are a set of women's boots actually I got from Kmart, the cheap department store, and the boots themselves are covered in a boot cover. Now the material I used for this is suede. It's obviously not leather, but it gives this kind of natural look, and I feel that the color coordination of Naofumi's outfits kind of reflects like a forest ranger, so these very earthy dark colors with a bit of texture to the material really kind of suited its character. So I chose suede, a dark brown suede and a light brown suede for most of the kind of leather bits, including the boots. And this is just some lighter grey-brown material. I think it's more suiting or more quilting material that I was wanting to lay on top. I got that mostly just for the colour itself because I couldn't find any of that colour in the suede. But it just laid that on top for the boot cover. And yeah, the colours itself could turn out quite nicely. This itself is just a black piece of material. I think it's supposed to be a belt of some kind, but you'll never really see it, so kind of just tuck that under there. As for the top part, this is a kind of, it is a type of fur. The original length of it was about this long, but obviously I trimmed it back with a pair of hairdressing scissors actually. And I kind of trimmed it back and then ran some hairspray through it, so that kind of helps it stick up. So put the hairspray through it, use a hairdryer, and it helped it stand up quite nicely like that. But yeah, that's basically the boots in its entirety. Like I said, I made an entire video on just the boots alone. If you want interested in making some boot covers, so please check that out. I'll leave that linked in the description below. But yeah, there we go, Naofumi's boots. Alright, now we move on to the fun stuff. This is Naofumi's vest. Now it is a very low cut vest, as you can probably see. So I basically got a t-shirt which fit me, used that as the pattern, and just made it really short. And obviously, since a t-shirt is usually made of cotton, which stretches, I had to, and this suede, again, I used the brown suede, the dark brown suede, the light brown suede, it doesn't stretch. I had to add a big zipper on the back. So I'll flip this over in a second and show you. But yeah, so the base of this vest was actually a lot more work than it looks like. Obviously we get the base panels, and I added a lot of little things in here which you can't really see, unfortunately, because it's hidden a lot under the armor. But we've got the side panels here. This was based off the manga version. I think the anime version is slightly different, but I kind of took elements of both, which I think the anime had these square panels and the manga had these kind of little rivets stuck into it. So I took a bit of both and just kind of put it in because I thought it looks good. We've obviously got these just single lines down through the middle, and obviously the belt loops holding up his vest belt, which is a very odd addition, but it looks really cool. So these are just small panels of dark brown suede, obviously, that I just sewed down, and these little ingenious things are actually thumbtacks. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't find silver thumbtacks when I went to the department store, so I got gold thumbtacks. I spray painted them silver and stuck them in here. Now, this was a very interesting thing to do. I kind of had to bend the thumbtack sideways, slip it in here, and glue it down so it doesn't move around. So, yeah, those are kind of found all over this costume. There's some there, there's some up the top there, and there's some in other parts of the material of the costume, but I'll show you that soon. And again, on the back, it's quite literally just a big chunky zipper which I can get into. Sometimes I do need a friend to help me get in, but that's how you get into the vests. Now, these two bits of Velcro here are for holding the chest shield on, but I'll show you how that chest shield is made later, but this is where it is attached. And the other interesting part here is the elbow guards. Now, this is something that is exclusive to the manga version of the manga design. I believe in the anime they kind of took these elbow guards out, probably because it was just an addition that was too much to draw, but yeah, here it is. So this part here is a bit of 5mm foam, I believe it was. Let's focus this, there we go. Oops. Alright, so this is 5mm foam, which I just covered in the suede itself. That's some of the paint coming off from the chain. And the chain itself, it's stuck through these little eyelets here. I punched a few holes into my costume and into my foam here, and put those little rivets in, and put some chain. Now this is obviously, paint's coming off this a little bit into the joints, but this is yellow plastic chain, which I also got from the hardware store. So it's very lightweight, but I sprayed painted this silver, and yeah, just attached there, and it looks quite nice. Looks like really good chain. So yeah, those are the elbow guards, which are exclusive to the manga version, but I decided to add it into this outfit because it looks really cool. So there we have it, the vest part and the elbow guards all in one. Alright, next we have the gloves. Again, this is a blend of both the anime and the manga designs here. Just before I forget, the belts were quite literally just, there's one for the pants and one for the vest shirts. They are just spray painted silver buckles, and they're just normal belts that you can get from the department store. So all I had to do there was spray the buckles, but I bought those here for 2 because these little buckles here are actually from cat collars. I had to buy 4 cat collars just to get these buckles and add them onto just strips of black material to make these yeah, cool little belt links for the gloves, I guess. Now, the gloves themselves, again, it's just made out of suede with the rivets running through it, with my lovely fur on top, which is again trimmed, and hairspray run through it. But usually I make gloves with stretchy material, usually lycra or some spandex, and it's very easy to make them. If you want a tutorial to make gloves, I've got that as well. Just check the link in the description below. But for this, obviously the suede does not stretch, so I actually had to make gloves with you know, actual panels in the middle of each finger, so I could actually get my hands through it. This was a new challenge for me, just kind of figuring out how that's actually done. But no, the gloves actually turned out quite nicely, and I'm very happy with how they turned out in the end. And to prevent the material from fraying, I got a lighter and just singed the end of the fingertips with a bit of fire, so you don't get any fraying at the end. And yeah, so that's the turnout of the gloves. There, it's just using the same materials, same elements on each piece of the costume, and altogether just looks really nice. But yeah, the gloves. Now we move on to one of my favourite bits of the costume, which were the hip shields. Now these turned out about as neat and clean as I would have wanted them, so I'm very pleased with how these turned out. They came probably about this much too big. The shields are actually a lot smaller than I thought they were, but still looks good. A little bit bigger than I wanted them to be, but they turned out great. Now again, this was made out of 5mm foam. You might be able to see some of the foam. Yeah, there we go. Foam on the back, which I put together. I made the pattern, and it seems to come out quite nicely. So initially it was just foam put together, and then covered it in brown suede, then another layer of brown suede, the light brown on top, and add on all the little bits after that. So foam, covered in suede, added in these, the white fur again. The white fur is again just the fur that was about this long. I cut it shorter and then sprayed with hairspray to kind of keep that shape. And these rivets, again, just gold rivets where I spray painted silver. Some of it gets scratched off slightly, but I just push them in, glue them down, and yeah, voila, there we go. Once again, the chain is the yellow plastic chain, which I spray painted silver. You can see a bit of the paint coming off there, and stuck through some rivets on the bottom. Now, how these are held on to my body, I just put some little belt loops up here. So these, as I put the belt onto the pants, I slip it through the belt loops, and then also slip it through here to hold it on, so I can actually slide this across and adjust it as I need to, and I've got no chance of them falling down or falling off, so that's how it's kept on. And as you can see here as well, for the bits of fur at the back, it's just strips of fur which I kind of had to glue down, and then as you can see that there, I had to actually stitch it down because I can only glue the very bottom here, and obviously the glue doesn't secure very well, so I actually had to get one of those hook needles and hook and sew all the way around. So that took a little bit longer than I would have liked, but I'm glad I did it because it sits quite nicely on the shield itself, and it sits well when whole thing's on my body. So they're the hip shields. Alright, now we move on to the chest shields. Now, I have to do a little bit of a repaint on this because when I initially put this into my suitcase to take it down interstate, some of the paint kind of came off the back of my other shield and got stuck on here. So a little bit of a repaint to touch up a little bit. But again, this is just 5mm foam, which I've stuck together in the portions as you can see here. And added this little bit on top with the 2mm foam. So that's the crest there. That's a little sticker gem that you get from a $2 store that people decorate school books and stuff with. The edge along here was made with just a carton cutting knife again, and again just stuck some tacks into it and painted over the top, and you get this basic nice looking chest shield. And there's little Velcro bits on the back that we are attached to our vest, as I mentioned before. Now, this is the collar. What this is, a lot of people think that the fluffy bit is kind of attached to the hood of his cape. And it does look good like that. I can't disagree and say that it looks terrible or it's the wrong thing to do, because it does look good. But I found this one reference picture, just right here, which kind of shows him without his cape on. And it kind of shows that this collar was actually a separate bit, which kind of attaches with the shield itself. So I've just kind of sewn a bit of Velcro into this, and it kind of just sits around my neck like a collar. And I tuck that under here, and that's how I've kind of made it. I kind of made it accurate to the manga version. And there's other scenes in which he kind of pulls his hood over his head and there's no fluffy bit attached. So I did this for accuracy's sake, for my own personal satisfaction, but if you attach it to the outside of the cape, this is my cape, it's just a basic cape with some Velcro lined into it. Yeah, so people chuck it on around the collar of the cape, but I chuck it on a separate collar. Something I do have to fix up. The little weakness I have found is it doesn't really sit very well on top of the chest shield. The chest shield kind of sits on top of everything. So what I will like to do is kind of attach this kind of decoration bit as a separate, kind of like a brooch or something, and that'll hold the cape in place, so it'll drape over the top of the shield rather than behind it. But yeah, that's the chest shield, the fluffy collar, and my cape, just a basic cape. And the final part is the shield of the shield here. Now, I did the basic design rather than any of his upgrades, I guess, but I have to thank So I'm Jai for the pattern for this shield. It only took me a day and a half to make this, thanks to that pattern. So I'll link a link down to So I'm Jai's YouTube channel in the description below. Check out his stuff. He does some great prop work and some other cool cosplay stuff. So thanks very much, So I'm Jai. Now, I used this pattern which I was able to just print out. It was all scaled already quite nicely, and I just printed out the paper pattern and cut out bits of 5mm foam and put it together. Now, the only thing I did a little bit differently was add 2mm foam bits, just add a bit of definition to it. So this top silver bit and also the side silver bits is all another layer of 2mm foam. So I was able to paint that and paint the black bits around it, just add a little bit of definition. Now, as you can see, there is a little bit of missing black paint. When I put this in transit with my chest shield under it, unfortunately some of the black paint got stuck on the chest shield and caused me a bit of grief the morning of the convention, but we managed to get through it, so it's okay. These straps, you're able to tuck your arm underneath this and also hold on to this strap so it sits on your arm quite nicely. Now, as you can see, there's a little bit of extra stuff here. It's because I added an extra LED circuit just to make it light up. So you can see there's a little switch here. Let's see if I can zoom on that. A little switch there. Click that, and oh, it lights up. So nice little green glow there. And that's how it kind of diffuses. Now you can see it diffuses the light quite nicely here. It doesn't just kind of see just individual LEDs kind of hanging around, like that's a bit close to the color there in the camera. But what I did here, which might be useful for some of you guys, is zoom up on this. As you can see, it was originally a clear Christmas bauble, and it's quite scratched up. What I did was I got a bit of sandpaper and scratched the inside of the bauble from underneath. Now what that does is it helps diffuse any kind of light that you put into it. So rather than just having a clear ball with some lights dotted around, it helps spread that light evenly all over the bauble itself. So as you can see here, this looks like one continuous color. That's the effect of scratching the inside of the ball. So there you have it. That's the hand shield of the shield hero itself. And there you have it. That's my complete breakdown of my Naofumi outfit from top to bottom. So if you have any other further questions, or maybe I missed explaining something or explained something a little bit weird, please just drop me a comment in the comments section below and I'll try to get back to you as quick as I can. But other than that, thanks very much for watching this video. Hopefully it helped you out in some way. If you liked it, please hit that subscribe button and little bell symbol next to it. It really helps out the channel a lot. But other than that, thanks very much for watching this video. Really appreciate you, really appreciate the support. And I'll see you again in another video very soon. Bye for now.